Welcome back to another episode of Sean and Ed's Do Baseball. I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
And we are bringing you baseball history.
That's right, we're bringing you baseball history on our bi-weekly baseball history podcast, where the story catcher doesn't know what the story pitcher is out towing the rubber, throwing them.
Yeah, and I have to receive today without any notion of what Edsy's going to be on the mound throwing at me. So
that's right. You are catching blindly, as it was recently put to us, a la Moses Fleetwood Walker in 1884.
That's right. And I should just say, Edsy's alluding to a great conversation we had with Dr. James Byland. And we were honored to be brought in and talk about baseball history, specifically Negro League history, with him for his shadow ball course, which he teaches at the University of Louisville. So just a big shout out to Dr. Byland. Really appreciate you having that conversation with us, and just honored to be on it. It was a lot of fun, right, Edsy?
I had a great time doing it. And yeah, to just echo what you were saying there, it was a great honor to be included in the shadow ball course, and hopefully that's a relationship that we can continue over the future of our podcast.
Yeah, well, we know you're listening, James, and thank you so much. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you bringing us in there. No matter where you're listening, whoever you are, you can follow us online at Doing Baseball or at Doing.Baseball. You can give us a review. You can give us a rating, rate the podcast, tell a friend, all of that fun stuff. And then, we don't like to give things away on this podcast, but we got another little surprise coming up 2 weeks from now. With we believe, as long as everything goes to schedule. Who we got joining us, Edsy, next time?
We have award-winning writer and Sabre member Justin McKinney as a returning guest. It's been, I think, 60-some-odd episodes since we had Justin on. He was on, I think, around episode 90 to talk to us about a number of different characters and teams that filled the rosters of the Union Association in the 1890s, I believe it was. And I again, not to give away too much, but I think he's going to narrow this down a little bit more and talk about one specific character this time. And I'm very excited to hear that story because he was touched upon in the previous episode. If, and not the previous episode that we just had, the previous episode that Justin was on. And I was very excited to hear about this guy. And now I believe Justin has a whole book about this fellow. So tune in for that, because that's I think it's going to be a wild story.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Byland. Thank you, Justin, future Justin. And thanks to Two Loons as well, our favorite beer here at Sean Ned's Do Baseball. You can check them out at twoloonsbrewing.com. You can actually go to the physical location at 122 Brock Avenue in Toronto, in the wonderful Parkdale neighborhood, West End, Toronto. Grab yourself a Two Loons this summer. Go to your local LCBO, beer store, watering hole, or beer festival, and ask for a Two Loons. And, of course,
please be of legal drinking age and enjoy responsibly.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a longer preamble than we were used to, Edsy, but are you ready to wind up and deliver this pitch?
I am ready to deliver the pitch to you, since you're not going to take my signals. No. I'm going to deliver this pitch to you blindly. Get started here in a second, but since we've been doing a lot of shout-outs here, I might as well just continue the trend and shout out, as I usually do, to this time Robert H. Schaefer at Sabre for doing the heavy lifting on this story. But with that out of the way, I guess with no further ado, I will jump into it right now if you're ready there, Sean.
Let's go.
Okay, Sean, today I want to tell you about a guy who was doing things in baseball before baseball had quite figured out what baseball was supposed to be.
Ooh.
We're talking today about a man who was hitting home runs, getting paid to play ball, racing horses, changing teams every other year, and helping drag baseball into the professional age before most people even admitted that professionalism existed.
Okay.
And somehow, despite all that, he's become one of the great forgotten stars of 19th century baseball.
Love it.
So that's, as we often and always talk about, that's what we're doing. We're shedding light on the, ill-forgotten stars of the former age. So now if you know anything about early baseball, you know it's a world where statistics are incomplete and rules are constantly changing and half the players sound like they should be operating a riverboat instead of playing second base.
Absolutely.
And this man fits right into that world. So, May 25th, 1845, Lipman Emanuel Pike was born in New York City, the son of Emanuel and Jane Pike. His family was Jewish and of Dutch origin, and he grew up in Brooklyn with an older brother, Boaz, younger brothers, Israel and Jacob, and a sister named Julia.
I love it.
Have you heard?
Name
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Lip Pike sounds familiar, but his name is actually Lipman.
Yes.
That's a great name. Like, just generally, I wish there was more Lipmans nowadays. But I know Boaz is a older Jewish name as well too. But Lipman is just absolutely just a beauty. 10 out of 10 name.
Okay. Thank you for your comments on that.
Yeah.
Boaz, his older brother, actually got into baseball first. And then just a week after Lip's bar mitzvah, the two brothers appeared together in Lip's first recorded game. And it's a pretty memorable way to spend your teenage years. And today when people discuss pioneering Jewish athletes, names like Sandy Koufax or Hank Greenberg usually come up first. But,
sure.
But decades before either of them was born, Lip Pike was already establishing himself as perhaps the first great Jewish star in professional sports. And he was good. Like really good. From 1871 through 1881, the years for which we have like reasonably reliable records of his professional days, Pike played 425 major professional games and hit .322 with a .468 slugging percentage. But those numbers don't fully capture his reputation. For his era, Pike was considered one of the game's most feared sluggers. Now, before anyone starts picturing a 19th century version of Aaron Judge, we should mention that Pike stood about 5'8" and weighed around 158 pounds.
So he's Jose Altuve.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he's Dustin Pedroia more than Judge.
Exactly. You're drawing the comparatives that I was looking for. He wasn't intimidating because he looked like a heavyweight boxer. He was intimidating because baseballs kept disappearing after he hit them. His first major splash came in 1866 with the Philadelphia Athletics. At that point, baseball was still officially amateur. Unofficially, everybody was starting to realize that the best players somehow kept finding themselves with money in their pockets.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
Yeah. It happens at all levels of all games these days. The Athletics were one of the strongest clubs in the country and built around power hitting, and Pike fit perfectly into that lineup. One game from July of 1866 tells you almost everything you need to know. The Athletics played the Alert Club of Philadelphia, and the final score was 67-25.
Okay. I was going to say that's a football score, but that's like high scoring. That would be a high scoring football game.
That's actually what I have written here next, but you're right. It would be a very high scoring football game even, but I have a football score accidentally wandered into a baseball field. But like you say, that would even be a rare football game to see.
That's like a high school basketball team embarrassing another team.
Yeah, that's actually a better comparison, yeah.
There we go.
During that game, Pike hit 5 home runs in succession.
5?
5.
And this dude's 5'8"?
5'8", 158 pounds.
I mean, whatever weight you say, like I don't even know. Like people probably got weighed like one time in their whole life.
That's true. They go down to the doctor. They go down to the butcher shop and pick up a slab of beef or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, can I jump on that scale for a second?"
Your doctor at your physical just like hugs you and lifts you up, and it's like, oh, about 156.
Who's a big boy?
I love it.
Now, as we've talked about in the past, 19th century baseball conditions were different. But even by the standards of the day, that was absurd. And while Pike was making headlines with his bat, he was also becoming part of a controversy that would change baseball forever. A Philadelphia newspaper publisher accused the Athletics of paying players, including Pike, $20 a week.
Oh.
Now, $20 doesn't sound like much today, but in 1866 that was real money. The accusation caused enough of a stir that Pike and several teammates were ordered to appear before baseball's governing authorities to answer charges that they had accepted payment. The hearing turned out to be almost comically ineffective. Nobody showed up, and the matter quietly died.
There's no authority there.
No.
We heard you were getting paid. Okay, I'll be right there to tell you about it.
But the damage, or perhaps the progress, depending on which side of the paycheck you were on, had already been done. The incident exposed something everyone suspected. The amateur game was already becoming professional. Players were being paid. Teams were recruiting talent. The old amateur ideals were becoming impossible to maintain. In many ways, Lip Pike found himself standing at the center of baseball's transition from gentleman's pastime to professional sport. By 1869, professional clubs were openly accepted. 2 years later, the first all-professional league emerged. The age of amateur dominance was ending. Ironically, despite Pike's strong season with Philadelphia, he didn't stay long. The Athletics decided to move away from imported players and focus on local Philadelphians. So Pike and other New Yorkers were shown the door. Apparently, whenever fans became suspicious about the team's play, the outsiders were the ones to be blamed first.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like those New York fellas, they're the ones making us pay them.
Yeah. Some things in sports never change. When a team struggles, the newcomers are usually the easiest targets. After leaving Philadelphia, Pike split time in 1867 between the Irvingtons of New Jersey and the powerful New York Mutuals. He played all over the field, outfield, first base, second base, and third base. Position flexibility was practically a job requirement in those days. So he's all over the place. Then came 1868. When he was playing exclusively for the Mutuals, Pike hit an astonishing .497 with a .661 slugging percentage while helping the club to a 31-10 record.
Holy shit. And I think this is before walks, so I'm just going to go out and say that's like a 1100 OPS in the 1800s. It's crazy.
Yeah. And somehow that wasn't even his best offensive season.
Wild.
In 1869, he returned home to Brooklyn and joined the famed Brooklyn Atlantics. This season came at a pivotal moment because 1869 marked the formal recognition of professional baseball. The Atlantics were among the nation's elite clubs. Against all competition, they went 46-2.
That's damn good.
2 ties, just to clarify.
Yeah. I don't know what other result people thought.
It could have
sounded
like I was saying 46-2 very slowly.
Oh, yeah, fair, totally fair.
Yeah. So I'm saying 40
I
wins.
know your cadence.
Yeah, 40 wins,
6 losses,
2 ties.
Got
And this was against teams made entirely of professionals. They were merely excellent, not just dominant. Pike appeared in all 48 games and produced one of the most eye-popping statistical seasons of the 19th century. He hit .610.
Okay.
Yep, not 410, not 510, .610. His slugging percentage was .883.
Damn.
This guy's like the best player ever.
Literally. And the competition's supposedly getting better as it professionalizes.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
To me, it is.
Yeah, everybody understood it.
I know what you're saying. Before anyone faints, though, let's explain what hitters were dealing with, or rather what they weren't dealing with. Because these were the days, Sean, we've talked about this before, when batters could actually call for a high or a low pitch.
Yeah,
and the pitch,
reasonable. I would be in the major leagues if this could happen.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. Pitchers threw underhand. There were no blazing fastballs, no sliders, no curveballs, no relievers throwing 98 miles an hour while fueled by greenies and spite. The game resembled modern slow-pitch softball far more than modern Major League Baseball. Even so, everyone played under those same conditions, and Pike was still one of the very best hitters around. He remained in Brooklyn in 1870 and continued producing at an elite level. But then baseball changed again. In 1871, the National Association of Professional Baseball Players became the first true professional league. And Pike joined the Troy Haymakers and was elected team captain. Which is one of the great team names of all time, if you're asking me.
Out of my mouth. You took the words. The Troy Haymakers?
Yeah.
Like, that could be a hardcore band, but it definitely could be the best team name, like, from the 1800s.
Getting off topic here, but was there not a hardcore band called Haymaker? I think there was.
There has to be. If not, somebody has failed and we live in a simulation.
There almost certainly was one called Sucker Punch or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it has to be. I found there's a hardcore punk band from Hamilton where I live called Haymaker.
There we go.
Haymaker. Yeah, legendary Canadian terrors Haymaker return with their first new recording in almost 10 years, Edsy. Oh, damn.
Right. We're going to have to get them on the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to get them. They're on. Shout out to Haymaker from Hamilton. They're on A389 Records. Cool. Awesome. Amazing. I'm not going to play their music
No,
because they might get mad at us.
Yeah, we got way more sidetracked there than I intended us to. So back to baseball. So now captain in the 19th century, baseball meant much more than today's ceremonial title. The captain essentially acted as the field manager. He set lineups, assigned positions, directed strategy, and made in-game decisions. In short, Pike wasn't just one of Troy's stars, he was helping run the operation. And the season started beautifully. The heavily favored New York Mutuals got crushed by Troy 25-10. And Pike collected 6 hits.
Okay.
Over the course of the year, he tied for the league lead in home runs, finished near the top of nearly every major offensive category, and established himself as one of the National Association's biggest stars. Managing, however, proved less successful, and after 3 losses in 4 games, Pike surrendered the captaincy.
Okay, it's like, I'm not built for this.
Like, I've failed you guys.
We lost 3 out of 4. Imagine your manager got fired after losing 3 out of 4.
Yeah, we as Blue Jay fans would be on like our 5th manager.
Every team would go through 2 or 3 managers.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, okay. So he just is like, oh, I'm not built for this. I'm just gonna relinquish my title. That actually means something. Unlike today, where they're like, "You're the captain," and you're like, "Yay!
Yeah.
What did I do?"
They're like, nothing. Go fucking play. Get out there. You've just been here the longest, and people seem to like you. So get out there and play your goddamn position.
Honestly, Aaron, I'm just a little scared of you.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why I'm so mean as an executive, but
I don't know.
Anyway.
But yeah, all right.
Carrying on. Apparently, hitting baseballs and managing baseball clubs required different skill sets, obviously. In 1872, Pike moved to Baltimore, and officially the team was known as the Lord Baltimores.
Love it.
That's another top-notch team name. Unofficially, though, everyone called them the Canaries because of their bright yellow uniforms.
Okay.
Which sounds less like a baseball team and more like a vaudeville act. Baltimore aggressively recruited talent and finished second in the league. Pike responded by leading the league in both home runs and RBIs. He played 56 of the team's 58 games and remained one of baseball's premier offensive forces. The following season, he again led the league in home runs while batting .316. But the most memorable moment of 1873 might not have involved baseball at all. At Baltimore's Newington Park, Pike raced a horse named Clarence. And Clarence's parents had a real good marriage.
Like he raced the horse, or he owned the horse?
He raced it.
I think this is the second time we've had a player race a horse on this podcast, but probably the earliest horse race.
That's right. Yeah. This might be the first baseball player horse race that we've covered anyway. But yeah, we've definitely covered more than one.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. But the horse was named Clarence?
Yes, the horse was named Clarence.
That's important.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was going to say, it's funny that the horse has a more prevalent name than the human.
Yes. Yeah. Over 75 yards, Pike somehow managed to win.
What?
Imagine.
No, he didn't.
That's what it says here on this card. Imagine being Clarence. You spend your entire life training to be a horse, only to lose a foot race to a second baseman.
Okay.
But that's allegedly what happened.
Imagine that owner is just like, this horse is going places.
Yeah,
Loses to
the glue factory now.
it's, it's over.
Yeah. In 1874, Pike joined the Hartford Blue Stockings after Baltimore collapsed financially.
Sure.
Hartford viewed him as its genuine star, and he delivered another excellent season, leading the league in slugging percentage while finishing among the top hitters overall. And then, of course, came another move. Pike signed with St. Louis for 1875.
Okay. Let's go Midwest.
Yep. The departure irritated many people in Hartford, particularly because Pike spent considerable time talking about how much damage his new club was going to inflict on his old one.
I like the shit talking.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Lip Pike, it seems, was never burdened by excessive modesty. In 1876, baseball underwent yet another transformation. The National League was formed and immediately replaced the National Association of Professional Baseball's professional baseball's premier organization. Mm-hmm. Most of the strongest association clubs simply joined the new league, and the old organization faded away almost overnight. Pike remained with St. Louis and enjoyed another outstanding campaign. Batting both cleanup and leadoff at different points, he hit .323 and led his club in virtually every offensive category again. And then before the 1877 season, he moved again, signing with Cincinnati as player captain.
Okay, still Midwest, just a little less.
Yep. The Reds were not very good. Actually, that's probably charitable. They finished last, but Pike still led the league in home runs and played excellent defense in center field. But even his efforts couldn't rescue Cincinnati from the basement. Eventually, he resigned the captaincy after a lopsided defeat to St. Louis, though he remained the team's starting center fielder. He's like, I thought I could do it again, guys. I thought I could do it again, but I failed you again.
We lost a single game poorly.
I'll just stick to center field because I'm such a piece of shit.
I used to be.
Yeah, I used to be. I said was.
I said was. I'm not captain anymore.
By this point, another issue had become apparent. Pike was left-handed, which doesn't sound like a problem by today's standards, but 19th century baseball people increasingly believed that a left-handed thrower was poorly suited for second base, which I think that's still believed today.
I'm darn sure that you don't see any left-handed second baseman.
No, I'm left-handed, and I've tried playing second base just in softball, and I'm not good at it. It sucks.
Yeah, you get all turned around. Look, baseball is unfair to you lefty throwers, where you really go from the potential of I guess 9 positions down to 5. Yeah. So. That's it. That's just how baseball is. It's cruel.
It's cruel, but that's just the way it is. It's how the game's set up.
I thought you were going to be like, they thought he was a witch.
No. No. I mean, they might have. To get sidetracked again. When I was young, I had to go to Black Creek Pioneer Village for a field trip. And I am left-handed, and they punished me like I was some sort of freak. They made me, they tied my hand behind my back, they forced me to write with my right hand. It was the worst field trip I've ever been on. It still bothers me to this day.
Well, it's probably learned you good, like the school should have. That's how schools should operate. Yeah. You sorcerer.
It's very traumatizing as a second grader.
So they're like, maybe you shouldn't play second base.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting back to our
Getting
story.
back to our stories here. Observers praised Pike's quickness and athleticism, but argued that his throwing angles made middle infield play awkward, which I can see. And as a result, he moved permanently to center field. It's one of those moments that reminds you how baseball strategy was still evolving at the time. What worked, what didn't work, nobody fully knew yet, and Pike was living through those experiments. When modern fans look at Pike's home run totals, they can seem almost laughably small. His 4 home run titles in the 1870s came with a combined total of just 18 home runs.
Okay.
18. Aaron Judge can do that before Memorial Day. But as we sort of just said, context matters. In 1872, Pike's league-leading total accounted for more than 17% of all home runs hit in the National Association.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like, think about that. One player was responsible for nearly a fifth of the whole league's home runs.
I'm gonna try to put that in context here. Let's see. How many home runs there was 5,815 home runs in 2025. So that would be the equivalent of somebody hitting 117 home runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about one of the most ridiculous home runs ever associated with 19th century baseball. Lip Pike wasn't only content with merely hitting baseballs far, however, he wanted to bend architecture.
I just realized that was only 2% of home runs, not 20% of
Yeah,
home
I was going to
runs.
say, it'd be like 1,000 home runs.
Yeah. My math was terrible there. So repeat your last sentence because I was just awestruck with my horrible math. Yeah, that would be 1,662 home runs. Not. Yeah.
Which is absolutely impossible. So to go back, Lip Pike wasn't only content with merely hitting baseballs far, however, he wanted to bend architecture.
Okay.
And I don't know if he actually wanted to bend the architecture, but I'll get to it here in a second. That's what ended up happening. One of the most famous...
Is he going to create the St. Louis Arch?
No. That'd be amazing, though.
That's right. I was like, what? Like, I just knew St. Louis came up, and I was like, okay.
No, it's much less amazing than that. One of the most famous stories attached to Pike comes from his 1877 season. Several years later, in 1883, Brooklyn's famous Union Grounds was being demolished. While reflecting on the old ballpark, Sporting Life recalled a remarkable sight. There was a pagoda structure in the park. Okay? And atop that pagoda stood a metal rod. According to the paper, that rod had once been bent by a baseball struck by Lip Pike. Now, pause for a moment and think about that. We've all heard exaggerated baseball stories. Every generation has a guy who supposedly hit the ball a mile. But this wasn't simply a story about distance. This was a story about a baseball colliding with a metal object high above the field with enough force to physically bend it still.
Okay, so exit velo.
Yes, exit velo. Years later, baseball historian Larry Zuckerman attempted to reconstruct the dimensions of Union Grounds, and based on his work, the pagoda appears to have stood roughly 360 feet from home plate, perhaps even farther, but around 40 feet above ground level. So imagine the trajectory required for that. The ball wasn't merely traveling a long distance, it was climbing into the air, reaching a structure high above the playing surface, and still carrying enough energy to bend the metal. So we're not talking about a routine fly ball here, Sean. That's a 19th century missile launch. And if you're
Love it.
wondering whether this might have been exaggerated over time, that is certainly possible.
Absolutely.
just being real. But the
Yeah,
but
150 episodes.
yeah,
We know when we're getting manipulated by
yeah,
history.
yeah. But the fascinating thing is that nobody questioned whether Pike had the strength to do it. The only debate
Yeah,
was exactly how far away this pagoda and the metal rod had actually been. And that tells you
sure.
everything about his reputation. People already believed Lip Pike was lost my spot here. People already believed Lip Pike was capable of extraordinary feats of power. There was another
Uh-huh.
famous blast at Union Grounds during 1877, and according to Zuckerman's research, Pike once hit a ball over something referred to as, quote, the ladies' stand.
Yeah, it's where
Nope.
the ladies stood.
Yeah. But nobody today seems entirely sure where that structure stood. But what we do know is that the ball remained in play and Pike raced around the bases for an inside the park home run. Newspapers described it as the longest home run seen at the park since the introduction of the dead ball. Again, we're dealing with a period when statistics were incomplete and measurements were imprecise. But the consistency of these stories is striking. Over and over, contemporary observers describe Pike's power in almost mythical terms. He wasn't merely hitting home runs, he was hitting the kind of home runs people talked about years later. And that reputation followed him into the 1878 season, when Pike returned to Cincinnati for what would become his final full major league campaign.
Damn.
At this point, baseball had not yet adopted the infamous reserve clause, and modern fans may not realize how important that is, where the players weren't tied to clubs indefinitely, and once a contract expired, a player was effectively a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Teams constantly recruited talent from one another, and contracts were shorter, and player movement was common, uh, as the business side of baseball was still figuring itself out. They hadn't quite figured out how to turn these players into chattels.
Not quite yet.
Yeah. Um, but through this time, Pike remained one of the game's most recognizable stars. One game in Chicago during May of 1878 produced yet another legendary blast. The Cincinnati club was playing at Lakefront Park. Now, this park was unusual because it sat on a narrow strip of land squeezed between Michigan Avenue and the railroad yards. And as a
Okay.
result, the foul lines were absurdly short. Apparently,
Okay.
the left field line measured only 180 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and the right field line was 196 feet, which,
Mm-hmm.
even by 19th century standards, those were really, really tiny dimensions.
Sure.
And because of this unusual layout, the park had equally unusual ground rules. Many balls that cleared the fence were ruled doubles rather than home runs.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this before, where they're like, if it's over the fence, it's a double. Modern day baseball fans' brains get broken.
Yeah, just melting.
Yeah.
During a 13-2 Cincinnati victory, Pike smashed a ball that cleared the fence, sailed beyond a freight shed, and continued over multiple railroad cars. The Cincinnati Enquirer attempted to estimate the distance. Their conclusion, 200 yards, or 600 feet.
Oh, okay, that's a lie. But I mean, they were trying their best. They were absolutely trying their best. I'm going to guess 500 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't. Can you hit a ball 500? I don't know. Because at
Can
the
you
same point,
hit?
I
Can
know
you
it,
hit a shitty spit-covered, soft, black ball 600 feet? I don't think so.
no, no, you can't. And at this point, I think we've kind of moved from like the underhandy into a little bit more of like a Tyler Rogers kind of side army underhand, like, I feel like the speed is speeding up with pitchers here, but I still don't. I think you need that alternative force that to hit a ball 500 feet. Like, I feel like it needs to be traveling faster than what they were probably throwing. But I'm just spitballing. No better than the Cincinnati newspaper. It was like, yeah, 600 feet. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, well, I agree with what you're saying, and today even the historians who repeated the story admitted that 600 feet stretches credibility. Like, a baseball traveling 600 feet would be one of the longest home runs ever hit by any human being in any era.
Yeah.
Like, the balls are much more live today, and dudes like Judge are not hitting the ball 600 feet. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a stretch there. But still, even if the estimate was exaggerated, the description tells us something important. People who witnessed the hit were astonished. The ball didn't simply leave the ballpark, it disappeared beyond buildings and rail cars. The spectators immediately began discussing distance because nobody could believe what they'd seen. Unfortunately for Pike, monster home runs couldn't stop time, though, and time was beginning to catch him. Cincinnati acquired a player named Lewis Buttercup Dickerson.
No.
Yes.
I refuse to believe that.
Well, it says so.
Why? Why is he called Buttercup?
I don't know. I didn't look into it. But anyway, Cincinnati acquired a player named Lewis Buttercup Dickerson. And that acquisition changed everything. And so despite hitting .324 and serving as the club's leadoff hitter, Pike suddenly found himself expendable, and after 31 games he was released. The decision was puzzling even at the time. Pike was still producing offensively. His final game with Cincinnati included a 2-for-6 performance, and there was little indication that he was completely finished, but baseball teams have always been attracted to younger options. And sometimes they make the correct decision, and sometimes they don't. This may have been one of the latter cases. So Pike quickly signed with Providence and almost immediately enjoyed a moment of revenge. On July 31st, 1878, facing his former Cincinnati teammates, Pike went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs as Providence rolled to a 9-3 victory. You can imagine the satisfaction. Because athletes rarely admit it publicly, but everybody loves proving an old employer wrong.
Well, especially when you get released and everyone's like, "Why did you do that?" So I don't know. If you suck and you come back and you're like, "Oh, I'm actually good still." Like, that's great, but if you're like floored by your release for whatever reason, I don't know if I can think of a modern equivalent to that. But yeah, no, of course, yeah, shit talk, go for it.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, everyone loves proving an old employer wrong, and for one afternoon, Pike had exactly that opportunity, but unfortunately the success didn't last. His Providence tenure quickly unraveled, and a week later he endured a disastrous game in which he went hitless in 7 at-bats while committing 3 errors.
Oof.
And the next day he was released. But the replacement player, Charlie Sweezy, would hit only 175 while making 54 errors.
Jesus.
Which raises a perfectly reasonable historical question. If that was the improvement, what exactly was the problem? Whatever the answer, Pike's days as a major leaguer or a major league regular were ending, and by 1879, he had slipped into the minor leagues. For a player who had once been among baseball's brightest stars, it represented a significant decline. Yet Pike remained productive in the minors, playing for Springfield, where he served as captain and center fielder. He appeared in 53 games and hit .356. The talent hadn't disappeared, But professional baseball was changing. New stars were arriving, older players were being pushed aside. The process is as old as sports themselves. Every generation eventually gets replaced. Still, Pike continued producing memorable moments. One of the best came in May of 1880 while playing for Albany. The scene sounds almost fictional. Pike hit a ball over the outfield wall and into a river.
Okay.
The opposing right fielder, Lon Knight, actually attempted to retrieve it by boat.
Like, don't worry, guys. There's a ferry here. I gotta give him 2 cents, and he's gonna take me to the ball.
Eventually, this is a literal story. Think about the logistics of that. Most outfielders chase baseballs, but this poor man found himself considering maritime operations. But he eventually abandoned the effort. The ball was gone. To make the story,
Like that he gave up too.
yeah,
I'm sorry, guys. I tried.
I'm not much of a sea captain, guys. I guess I'll see myself out. To make the story even more 19th century, many ballparks still lacked automatic home run or double rules for balls leaving the ground. Modern baseball had not yet standardized many of the things we today take for granted, so a ball disappearing into a river wasn't necessarily handled the same way everywhere. By mid-season, Albany disbanded, which was another common occurrence during baseball's unstable early years. Teams frequently appeared and vanished, leagues reorganized, financial problems were everywhere. So Pike bounced around among clubs, appearing for Brooklyn's Unions and later for the New York Metropolitans. His production was declining, but he was still finding opportunities. Then came 1881. Pike began the season playing for his old Atlantic club while simultaneously working in the mercantile business.
Okay.
That's an important detail. Many 19th century players couldn't rely entirely on baseball income. Even accomplished veterans often maintained business careers. In Pike's case, the transition to life after baseball had already begun. Later that summer, he received one final major league opportunity. The Worcester Ruby Legs needed help after an injury to friend of the show, Arthur Irwin.
All right.
And Pike was called up, so at 36 years old, he returned to the National League. Unfortunately, however, it did not go well. In 6 games, he managed only 3 hits in 25 at-bats. His batting average was .120. For a man who had once terrorized pitchers across the continent, it was a painful ending. And things became worse. On September 3rd, Worcester played Boston. In the 9th inning, Pike committed 3 errors. Those mistakes helped Boston score 2 runs and secure a 3-2 victory.
Rough.
Yeah. Immediately afterward, Worcester accused Pike of intentionally throwing the game, which was obviously an extraordinarily serious accusation. The 19th century was filled with gambling concerns, game-fixing rumors, and suspicions about player honesty. Whether the accusations had merit remains uncertain, but the consequences were severe, and Pike was suspended. Then later that month, the National League owners met in Saratoga Springs, and they established a blacklist of players barred from playing for or against National League clubs. And Lip Pike's name appeared on the list.
Rough.
Just like that, one of the defining stars of baseball's first professional generation found himself effectively exiled. It's a sad ending. Not because. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so he is getting to the end of his career though, like age-wise, regardless.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, but now he's blacklisted essentially, and we don't know if he did it or not, right? Like we don't have any confirmation or obviously, alternative evidence.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not really in a place to speculate, but it just seems like he was declining as a player. And maybe it's the fact that like he was so good before that they're like Lip Pike you know, doesn't commit errors like that. He must be throwing the game,
Sure.
you know.
They just see him taking a bag of money after the game. What's that for, Lip? Nothing.
It's for my mercantile business.
I trade goods.
Yeah.
I buy it for a nickel, sell it for a dime.
So, like I said, it's a sad ending. Not because every great player deserves a perfect farewell, because sports rarely work that way, but because Pike had helped build professional baseball itself. He'd been there at the beginning. He helped legitimize professional play. He had started in the National Association and the National League, and now his career was ending under a cloud of suspicion. Fortunately, life after baseball proved kinder. Pike returned to Brooklyn and entered the haberdashery business, the same trade connected to his family's background. Which, if you don't know, because I didn't know what a haberdasher was.
No idea. I got nothing.
I was just going to ask you. It's someone who sells supplies for tailoring, such as thread, buttons, ribbon, and zippers. And he got into this business because his father was also a haberdasher when Lip was growing up. And so Lip's store became successful. More importantly, it became a gathering place for baseball enthusiasts. In a sense, Pike never really left the game. The game simply came to him. After his suspension expired, he chose not to pursue another professional comeback. He continued playing amateur baseball and remained connected to the sport he had helped shape. But there was one final exception. In 1887, at age 42, Pike made a brief return with the New York Metropolitans.
No!
Yes. Originally, he was expected to pitch.
Okay.
But at the last moment, he moved to center field instead, and observers reported that his fielding remained solid. His batting, however, had faded. Time, undefeated as always, had finally caught him. 6 years later, on October 10th, 1893, Lip Pike died of heart disease in Brooklyn at only 48 years old.
Damn.
Yeah. Take care of your heart, kids. Get your exercise. His funeral became a major event. Members of Brooklyn's Jewish community attended. Baseball figures attended. Rabbi Geismer of Temple Israel praised the life Pike had led. And in the weeks that followed, tributes poured into sporting publications. What makes those tributes remarkable is the consistency. Again and again, writers praised not only Pike's ability, but his character. They remembered him as a tremendous hitter, a great runner, an excellent fielder. One writer recalled a colossal home run Pike had hit in Cincinnati that cleared not only the fence, but a distant brick kiln before disappearing into high weeds. Years later, Pike still spoke proudly of that blast. And honestly, who wouldn't? Another tribute described him as one of the game's true gentlemen, respected both on and off the field. That praise may be the most meaningful legacy of all. Statistics fade, records fall, but reputations endure. In the decades after his death, historians continued recognizing Pike's importance. In 1911, Sporting Life publisher Francis Richter selected him for a hypothetical all-star team representing the years 1870 through 1880. When the first Baseball Hall of Fame election was held in 1936, Pike even received a vote, despite having been dead for more than 4 decades.
Interesting.
And in 1985, he was inducted into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in Netanya, Israel. Which brings us to the legacy of Lip Pike. He wasn't merely an early slugger, he was arguably baseball's first great slugger. He helped usher in professionalism. He became one of the first Jewish stars in American sports history. He hit legendary home runs before most ballparks even had reliable measurements or consistent ground rules. And he remained respected long after his playing days ended. For modern fans, Lip Pike can sometimes feel like a figure from another universe, a player from an era of underhand pitching, horse races, river balls, and railroad yard home runs. But without players like him, there is no path leading to the game we know today. He managed clubs, changed leagues, raced horses once again, and he became one of the most feared hitters of his generation. Not bad for a kid from Brooklyn who started playing ball a week after his bar mitzvah. And that's why, Sean, more than a century after his death, Lip Pike still deserved to be remembered as one of baseball's true pioneers.
I love it. I love it. I'm trying to look. He sucked as a manager. Holy crap. Baseball reference. He's 20-51 as a manager.
Okay, so maybe it's a good thing that he resigned. Maybe he wasn't so hard on himself. Maybe he was a piece of shit.
He really was. Troy Haymakers 1-3, Hartford Dark Blues 16-37, and then Cincinnati Reds 3-11. And there's like 3-year gap in between all of those where it was like, well, I shouldn't do that. Then he was like, maybe I should. No. I love it. Anyways, it's obviously he's a player manager too. We got to cut him some slack. It's not. I almost, when you talked about Philadelphia, I was like, is Connie Mack going to show up? The baby Connie Mack was currently manager.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say he may have been a manager for a farm team or something at that point, but I don't know. I don't think there were farm teams yet at that point. So
I know. Now I'm looking up how old Connie Mack is, and we're just dragging out this episode forever. Connie Mack was born in 1862. Yeah, he would have been like a 4 or 5-year-old when he was playing.
Yeah.
A 4-year-old because he was born in December. Yeah, he would have been 4-year-old Connie Mack, manager of the Philadelphia Athletics.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he was somehow involved with the team. But anyway.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. No, that was great. No, Lip Pike, I think I had him on my list. I had no idea why, but now I know why. Because, I mean, Pioneer, somehow you didn't mention a drunk incident with an 1800s player, so that's a feather in his cap.
Yeah.
So many things. But I love the early home runs and the early stars that just we never hear about, obviously, because I co-host the show.
Yeah. No, well, we had to tell the story of Lip Pike. Lip Pike, directly leads to guys like Hank Greenberg. And, he's not, like we just talked about, he was one of the first guys. I mean, he accounted for 20% of the home runs one year. You can't not talk about that guy.
No, he's absolutely, clearly a star that we had no idea about. I had no idea about. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that story. Thank you all for joining us today and listening to this one. I say got some exciting on deck, something I'm excited for and is exciting on deck for the next episode. And until then, Edsy, where can people find us?
People can find us somewhere on the World Wide Web at Doing Baseball or at Doing.baseball. Whatever platform you're searching for us on, you can find us at one of those two handles. It'll lead you in the right direction. And yeah, join in on the conversation. Give us a story idea. Give us a rating or review wherever you're listening to us. And thank you for listening to us. And of course, until next time, Sean.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Eds.
And we were doing baseball.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, it's fun.